Hello and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. Clock is ticking to the launch of what the opposition NDC presents at its alternative to the governing NPP. We have a build-up as our team stands by with a live coverage and in-depth analysis. The Sherman police launch investigations into the murder of a 10-year-old girl in the area. No arrest has been made, and police say they have increased security in the area. More destruction as Bagre Dam continues to flow, swallowing up properties and cutting off communities. We're live on the ground this minute with our correspondent. Why don't you join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're streaming live on YouTube. We're also streaming on Facebook. Join us with your thoughts on our WhatsApp platform. My name is Gifty Andwapia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. I'm happy to have you. Welcome to the show. The Wale Municipal Hospital in the Northeast region has suspended operations following a power outage that hit some parts of the West Mampusi municipality yesterday. The region is already facing a humanitarian crisis as floods from the Bagre Dam spillage have rendered many homeless, cutting off communities and submerging a lot of farms. The situation is further worsened by the inability of NADMO to extend support to displaced persons due to the heavy rains. 6 lives have been lost already. Let's take you live there now and speak to correspondent Ilyasu Tanku about the situation. Ilyasu joins me now. Ilyasu, first tell us what the situation is regarding the floods right now. It's like we've lost Ilyasu there. We'll try and raise him back up. But these are pictures you're seeing as a result of the spillage of the Bagre Dam. You see some of the farmers there counting their losses and obviously distraught. You also see some community people moving through what looks like a little pond in front of their houses there. We'll be connecting also with Albert Soria, correspondent in the Upper East region, who was more of this. Albert is joining me on Zoom. Albert, you hear me? Do you see me? And if you do, tell us what the situation is at the moment.
Yes, Gifty. It's still raining here in the Upper East region. It's been raining on and off since morning. It was the same yesterday. And so because of this, a lot of people have had to stay indoors. Now, I was on an assignment this afternoon, and the rain kept interrupting, throughout. And eventually, I just had to ride my bike through the rain in order to get home. But what I can tell you is that most of the farmlands, which are even very close to the road, specifically the Bolga-Navrongo Road, all the farmlands, most of the farmlands, I should say, are flooded. Now, over the last 2 days, we've been getting calls from people in communities like Pualugu and the Talensi areas. And then if you go to the Bazua areas in the Boko West District, people are complaining that their farmlands are submerged. Now, for people who are also living in low-lying areas, we are getting calls also that, some houses are currently flooded. But because it's been raining, we are yet to get to these people to actually speak to them and to ascertain how serious the situation is. What I can report, though, is that it's getting very serious as we speak.
Very serious, and I can see you all, closed up for this season, but it sounds pretty much like double trouble. So there's the Bagre Dam spillage, and then there is you have the rains as well. That's adding to the troubles. Have authorities come to the rescue of these people? Have you heard anything from them at all?
Yes, NADMO actually started doing a training about 2 weeks ago. They were training their staff in terms of how they can rescue people who may be trapped, how they can pump water out of people's rooms if the situation should happen. This was all in anticipation for all of this. But like I said, it's been very difficult for everyone to actually go out there. So I am yet to come across the NADMO officials, actually doing their work. But then I've seen some posts which have been uploaded on Facebook. In fact, the gentleman who uploaded that video is a NADMO official in the Talinsi district. And he has actually showed us how they were pumping water out of somebody's compound in the Talinsi district. Now, myself, where I'm talking to you now is just around where I live. And all around me, there is water everywhere. And usually we don't get flooding situations in this part of the town at all. So you can only imagine what is happening in places which are in low-lying areas. Now, in Kwalugu, for instance, all the farmlands are submerged. And I'm told that the Kwalugu tomato factory is in fact, the yard of that factory is currently flooded. That is a call I got from a farmer in the area as well. So hopefully, as the rain subside, we'll get out there and actually talk to people and bring some visuals of how the true situation is as we speak.
At the moment. Albert, thank you so much. But before you go, we know that 6 persons have been killed. I'm not sure how much, again, information you have, but I'll just leave it. Okay, well, I understand that particularly for Eliasu. Eliasu has just been able to connect with us. So let me leave you out of that question, Albert. Thank you so much. Let me go to Eliasu Tanko. Eliasu joins. Eliasu, 6 persons, we understand, have died. Can you refresh our memories on exactly what circumstances led to their death?
Yeah, so on the 21st of August, that's last month, NADMO report says that a 3-year-old girl had left her home in Bunkurgu Township to play with her colleagues when the rain started. And so after the rain subsided, she decided to go back home, and she was swept. She was knocked down by the flood and swept into a nearby pit. Subsequently, she was found dead in that pit. Same day, a man in a village called Penton was traveling from a village, another village, where he had attended a funeral of a family relative. He was also drawn in a river. And also last week in the East Mamprose District Municipality, a community called Langbinsi, NADMO says 1 man also died due to the floods. And then also in Janga, which is in the West Mamprose Municipality, another person also lost his life. And only on Saturday, 2 days ago, 2 persons also got drowned. Two persons also drowned in the Mampurugu Muaduri district. And the report that we have is that these people had attempted to use a small canoe to harvest on their maize field. Unfortunately, the canoe capsized and they were drowned. So these are the circumstances of the death of the 6 persons that we are currently having in the region.
That's very detailed. Thank you for that. Very worrying videos as what we're seeing. I'm looking at a video in which, it looks like some, a number of cows are being washed away with the floods. And I'm not sure which area this is, and if you have any information on that. Do you?
Well, the worst hit in the northeast region is the Mampurugu Muaduri district. Not surprising, this district is called the Overseas district. And so as we speak, the district has been cut off. You will not be able to access the region. You will not be able to access the district unless you go through the Upper East region, through Navrongo to Fumbisi, and several other roads leading to this particular district has been washed away, and bridges have collapsed, and a lot of people are currently trapped in their communities. Last week, the regional, the officials in the district capital had to suspend the market operation because the entire regional capital got flooded. And so I assume that the videos that you are showing is from the Mampurugu Muaduri district. Apparently, because this is the district that was hit by this particular disaster.
Very disturbing. But what is the situation right now? What can you report?
Well, the region continued to receive several millimeters of rain, especially this morning, and we got a report from the local NADMO service saying that even the regional capital got flooded. It's flooded this morning, and we also understand that part of Cherpone has also flooded, especially the road linking to Yendi in the northern region. We understand has been cut off, and as I speak to you, the rain are still coming.
Have authorities responded as of now?
Well, there have not been any official emergency aid plan. At least we have not gotten it from local NADMO service here. What they are saying is that because the rains are still coming, it is nearly or almost impossible for them to go out to these communities that are affected to do any effective assessment. And so what they are doing really is to wait for the rains to subside so that they can send out their men to this community to do proper assessment, and then subsequently they will know how to respond and to rescue these victims.
Eliasu, thank you. Eliasu Tanko is our correspondent who joined me from the northeast region. Very serious situation, humanitarian situation he paints there. You also heard from Albert Sori, who is our upper east regional correspondent. Looks like a very difficult situation, and we're calling on NADMO and other authorities to respond immediately and to do what has to be done. Now, away from the floods and the Bagre Dam spillage, the Sherman police has opened investigations into the gruesome murder of a 10-year-old girl in the area this weekend. The deceased, Nyamo Nate, was found lying in a pool of blood with a slit throat and part of her intestines gushing out at her home in JoyNews Sun City on Friday night. Let's take a report from her community, and then we can hear from the police on the back of that.
The family has been left in grief and shock. Mother of the deceased, Salome Tekpete, says she found her daughter dead around 10:30 p.m. after she left the roadside where they usually sell to get some rest at home. Salome spoke to Adom TV's Isabella Ave.
I came from work and found my daughter murdered in cold blood.
Father of the deceased, Frederick Nate, shares how the sad news got to him.
Anajo 12 o'clock. No, Fred,
a call woke me up around 12 a.m. I had missed calls from my wife and her friends. When I asked what was happening, her mother kept crying and eventually told me what happened.
Now, my minute is Accra, no, no, store. The Bob and store away. Walk on higher. Autumn Adriani. No, Mark Alano say, Omra de Biasana, no, ye. Omra no bell sacran by no shot idea. I will be punum. It's your best son at Adia, no, no, ba. After time of point of bedroom fee by 11, or by an Akurani Kuna to Mojan.
Nothing possible.
Me dining in any problem, so be answer anti.
Residents of Sun City in JoyNews say the incident has left them in fear. They want the cases thoroughly investigated and perpetrators brought to book.
Yes, I didn't sign to no be around by 10 o'clock. Obia would them over TV. The incident happened around 10 p.m. We heard the child's mother screaming when she came back from work. She entered the room and saw the little girl's throat slashed. It appears she was also stabbed with a knife. Police should kindly investigate the matter. The child was with her mom at the shop yesterday till around 9 p.m. when her mom asked her to take the lead home and sleep. The child was killed before her mom got home. We are really traumatized. Police must investigate.
Meanwhile, police in the area have picked up the body as investigations continue.
And even as the body has been picked, the Ashaman police has yet to make an arrest. Divisional Crime Officer Superintendent Tony Adipa says the matter is being investigated. He said the police have boosted security in the area.
Go to the scene, they found the body of the deceased, as she described, in a pool of blood. So on inspection, it was detected that a sharp object was used to inflict deep wounds in the throat. And then her intestines were also found protruding under the navel area, suggesting that she was actually stabbed. And the kitchen knife was also found close to the body. The knife was also stained with blood, suggesting that that knife might have been used in committing the crime by the perpetrator or the perpetrators.
Have any suspects been picked up?
Not yet.
How is the family faring after the incident?
Very traumatized, especially the mother of the child, very traumatized. She can't even see a word.
What about the general security of the area?
Oh, the area is calm. Area is very calm. We have enough patrol teams around the area. For fear, they shouldn't, be afraid at all, because the police are poised to do or to safeguard their security.
It's a very hard story to tell, a very hard story to absorb. May her soul rest in peace. And Ashaman police, as the Ashaman police works on arresting the perpetrators. Our farmers, especially women at Kwabinaso and its environs in the Amansia South District of the Ashanti region, are accusing Asanko mines of police and military brutality. Over 1,000 of them from 4 communities such as Kwabinaso, Edubiaso, Ebrim and Kanyango have embarked on a demonstration to express their displeasure over the alleged brutality. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
The farmers are unhappy about the alleged brutality by the military and police.
I overheard some noise far behind us. Then I decided to go there and collect the cassava into my basin. Before I got there, my basin was completely destroyed. And one of my boys told me it was the police and that they have arrested one of the boys. It is a sad situation.
With how Asanko Gold Mines is treating our parents, whenever they go to the farm, they sometimes send security personnel after them. They end up arresting both illegal miners and our parents. They recently chased our parents away and destroy their farm produce. According to them, they are unable to go to their farms.
We have a farm at Paul. I decided to visit the farm with my brother and niece to clear some weeds. We were there to collect cassava when we overheard a strange sound and people were running.
Whenever we inquire about the number of people employed, they would inflate the number to say 10 people, when in actual fact, it is only 2. They do not engage the community members. We are pleading with them to engage us in the activities because we can do it and we are ready to learn the job. Here is Adubiaso Chief Linguist Nana Kwame Mensah. We are pleading with the government to impress upon Asanko gold mines to employ the youth in the communities.
Mahmoud Mohamed filed that report and he reached out to Asanko Gold and they have declined to speak at this time. This is The Pulse with me, Gifty and Dopia. A quick break, I'll be right back. To stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, car damage and high repair costs are no news on the Boche Lane Accra, as the route often causes breakdown of several vehicles, whilst drivers say they spend a huge percentage of earnings on the fitting shop. Sales businesses are unhappy with the dust and mud that comes with rainfall on the potholed roads. JoyNews' PSC and Anaya Safo paid a visit to the stretch. He serves you with more in this report.
A drive through Accra generally starts as a smooth experience till one gets to the untarred corners of the community. Potholes on the stretch from Boche right before Accra Market and extending all the way to the Chimota N1 highway are as many as there are pores on the human skin. It is a fact many drivers and pedestrians have come to know, citing it even as a landmark of this place. They tell JoyNews it is still far from receiving much needed attention.
Hey, as for the postcodes, there is no easy cry at all, because from here and Abutre Road, it's no good at all. Anyone's papers you buy, it will not reach 1 week, 2 weeks. For one month, I go spend like 80 Ghana cedis. We the drivers cannot even work on the road and get money for our family. So we are praying the government to come and do the road for us.
About this area, particular, this place it has been destroying the citizen. Like, I don't know how to translate it. Potholes never had a cry. It me a bill quote me jina 1 hour crown on coy. It's my son carbine should be now of Oshon Casa and a boy.
More Municano, our Hano, yeah, affecting me saying. More Monica, Muyama, Monama, more Fakaba, Susan Soben almost.
And the bill had traffic near the end high.
He has been telling us more about the situation here, and what he said in native tongue is that this particular side of the route that you can see here, that's this side before they're able to cross onto the main stretch here. He says it's very problematic, and that many of the vehicles spend at least, sometimes even as much as 1 hour here trying to get onto the route. He says this affects them very much, and also there's heavy traffic situation when they are coming into their very own community due to the poor nature of the routes sited here. He is, just like many other residents, calling on government to pay much needed attention to the routes.
Higher gain, papa. We kick us, pa. What was papa? Me hire me coin. Me for 24/7. Me the time no. I hear so 2-3 weeks be so cautious, but now could 2 cars.
The road is weakening our cars. Even when you buy the spare parts, within 1 month, the spare parts will damage and you go for it again. So we pay the tax, we don't get good road to walk on it.
So much photos, so it's not comfortable when you are driving on it. Yeah.
How long have you been using the route here?
I've been using this road for almost 10 years now. So it's very bad road, so we need to repair this road.
Are there any, just for those who are watching us to get it clearly, are there any situations that happen due to the poor nature of the potholes here?
The potholes here, you don't even need to repair the potholes. They have to, tie the road asphalt for us. Yeah, that one is better for us. Yeah.
Actually, the condition of the road is bad, but as you can see, they are working on it. So,
which parts of the roads are they working on?
Yeah, like as you can see, the road leaking to the various homes, they are working on it. So I'm sure by all means, they will not do this and leave this one. So by all means, they will work on it. So we are praying and hoping that they will come and work on it for us.
So as a driver, you are okay?
As of now, we are not okay. Actually, to be frank, we are not okay. But how do we do? We are waiting and expecting them to come and do it for us. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So the roads that he was referring to, or the side which he says are being constructed, that's to my left, as you can see in your shot, some pavement works on the side of the road. We are still wondering and we are still hoping that very soon these works here may extend here. As you can see, the very road itself that we are talking about does not require pavement but fillings to ensure smooth running and driving for all drivers in the community.
But the drivers are not the only ones suffering. Mavis Ajay owns a grocery shop here.
Some times ago, we used to put coconut cover to fill the potholes, but right now it is getting deeper and deeper. So at times when it rains and water gets inside and the cars are passing, at times it's come to this side and it will be destroying our things. For the potholes, I don't know if the government can do something about it. We will be very glad.
How long have they been like this?
Oh, for so many years. I've been in this area for close to 4 years. And when I came, it was here, so yeah.
You've been here for a long time. And you are saying that it affects the...
It wasn't like this. It was just small, but right now it is getting deeper and deeper.
And you told us that sometimes the mud, the vehicles, because of the potholes, they splashes mud on your products here. Does that mean it makes you run at a loss financially?
Sorry?
Does it mean it affects your finances? I mean, since you are selling stuff and most of them are muddy.
And there's a lot of dust because the road is messed up. There's a lot of dust. So if you are not careful, your things will be... when somebody is buying it, it will look like it is old products, but because of the dust, because the road has been messed up, yeah.
She tells me that the potholes put pedestrians at risk too.
And because the potholes are plenty, the cars will be dodging the potholes. So if you are not careful and you are walking by the roadside, the car can hit you.
JoyNews contacted the Okaikwe North Municipal Assembly, but officials won't speak about the complaints of the residents. PSC Nanaya Osafo, JoyNews.
On to coronavirus now, and it's almost 6 months since Ghana recorded its first case of COVID-19. While some have died from the virus, there are many others who have been made helpless. One such person is Mahama, who has fled Accra to live in the central region town Kisi, which is her hometown. She's lost her job, finds it difficult to pay her rent, and virtually sleeps on an empty stomach every day. On JoyNews Agenda today, correspondent Richard Kojo Nyako tells the story of Mahama.
Teaching at the same time, doing some minor jobs that was earning me money to be able to take care of myself and then my child.
Mensma, not her real name, used to live and work happily in Accra. But this was before the arrival of COVID-19. She's lost all her 2 jobs she had to COVID-19.
I was able to survive through what I was earning. And I'm a single mother though, but I was able to take care of my child's needs and myself. See, when you are earning enough, you don't need to struggle in paying rent, taking care of your child's needs, and then other stuff.
A single mother who is unable to meet the city's harsh demands flees to Kisii, a farming community in the central region.
But due to the pandemic, I lost my job, and I don't think I can survive in Accra again, so I had to relocate to a different place that I can really get sound mind to rethink and then look for another job.
Now the responsibility of looking after her 10-year-old son, paying her rent and putting food on their table on a daily basis has become a daunting task for her. Her son has now been sent to her parents in the village while she returns to her roots, Kisii, where she hopes life might be a bit better for her. Mensma tells me she nearly started giving herself to men in order to survive, hence her decision to move from Accra to Kisii.
My rent was due and I had no one to help me to pay to, so you know, I'm a woman, and some of these things it tend to lead you to wayward life, like what do you call it, slave queen. You can decide to be a slave queen just to earn a living, going from one man to another. I had it in mind to do that, but upon second thoughts, I realized that home is home. I can easily go home and then sit down to and rethink about my life and see which one best suits.
Mensma is not alone in this. There are countless number of people you meet on the street today who've been dealt very hefty blows by COVID-19 and are unable to make ends meet. They've lost virtually everything to the pandemic and are finding alternative ways of surviving. Richard Kwejonya-Akon, Joy News, Cape Coast.
And I'm sure you have your own story to tell. Still on COVID-19, 6 positive cases of the virus have been recorded at Kotoka International Airport since it was reopened to international traffic last week. This is as of the evening of Sunday. Deputy Health Minister Dr. Bernard Okuboy, who disclosed this on the lockdown show with MFA Apau, said the patients presented negative PCR tests from their respective countries. I'll bring you details of what he said. First, though, let me take you to the airport. My colleague MFA Apau had a tour of the facility.
Edition of lockdown from the airport Terminal 3, and today we are getting unfettered access through the process. It's exactly a week ago since the president announced the reopening of the Kotoka International Airport. We are here today to witness it firsthand, and thankfully we have our special tour guide with us here tonight. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome, and introduce yourself to us.
All right, my name is Eric Prempe, Customer Service Manager, Ghana Airports Company Limited.
Okay, so before we begin our tour, what are we to expect?
Okay, basically this section of the airport is arrival hall. What we are going to do now is to take you through the arrival process, because as you're aware, there are new protocols now, and as we go through, you see all the new processes that has been introduced as part of ensuring that all passengers facilitation goes through smoothly.
Since Tuesday, recount to me how it has been since the introduction of these new protocols.
Oh, so far it's been good. It's been more of sensitization because some of the passengers had no idea about the new measures. So there's been a lot of sensitization. We've done more publicity, and even at the airport we reinforce it through announcement, and also we have customer service officers on the floor to educate passengers about the new protocols. So I would say so far so good. So before they reach here, there's a customer service person here who will announce to all the passengers on the bridge to ensure that they have all their nose masks on. We have sanitizing stations at the bridge, just at the exit of the bridge, so that passengers will use it to sanitize their hands before they get to the terminal. And also, as you can see, we have social distancing markings on the wall, so that at least we announce to all passengers to observe the 1 meter social distancing. So we board them in badges. So if, let's say, passengers are supposed to disembark on this concourse, as part of the new protocol, all arriving passengers on this level will turn on the left, because they'll have to proceed to the end, to the extreme end, and that is where the bank facility is set up, so that at least they will make payment, and after payment they will proceed to have the COVID test. Whereas previously it was manual, they just give them the cards on board to fill.
How would you say this will help in terms of the contact tracing? How efficient has it been?
Yes, because this system is also integrated with your bank payment and also your testing. So they'll give you codes so that at least it's integrated. So it makes it easier if, let's say, you are tested negative, that makes it visible to even track you. So, and it captures all the necessary details, your passport number, everything, the biodata of the customer. Before you get to Port Health to get your result, they use that same system to even check whether if your results are in. Yeah. So all these tablets are internet ready, and if you can zoom in, you can fill it in English or French. So the passenger, yes, after this sanitizing, and that's why we've provided sanitizing stations on my right. Okay, so.
What is going on? What is happening? What is going on?
So do we have people on hand to help anyone?
Yes, anytime flight touches down, we have customer service officers and also some Port Health officials here to assist passengers to complete these forms online. Okay. And also we have, because we have Wi-Fi at the terminal, if this place becomes too occupied, we encourage passengers to connect using their phones through our Wi-Fi, and we give them the website address to connect. And the address, about, I'll say 10. Okay. We have the same setup on the other side of the arrival hall. And also, once the samples are taken, at the back end, the medical people ensure that they move all the samples to the lab. And this is an enclosed lab. Only authorized personnel are allowed inside. So this is where they do all the checks. And by the time you get to the Port Health section, on the ground floor, low arrival, your results should be ready. Yes. Section of the arrival hall. This is where passengers will undergo the temperature screening at the Port Health section. And by the time the passenger gets here, within 30 minutes, the passenger should get his or her results. So they go through the queue. The passengers will come and stand here. And now the Port Health temperature screening is automated now. Previously, it was a bit manual. They use handheld guns to check temperatures. But now it's more automated. The camera can scan about 10-15 passengers on the spot. What it does is, as part of the preventive measures, your temperature shouldn't be more than 38 degrees. So passengers will have to just go through, and they will pick only passengers whose temperature goes beyond 38 degrees. Yeah. No, maybe once it's above 38, then they'll do some clinical assessment. Yeah. And passengers arriving must ensure that they've completed the health declaration card. The website address is https://ghs-hdf.org/hdf. Once they go online, they can fill it anywhere before they arrive, so that at least facilitation process becomes very smooth.
Mr. Prempeh and your team, thank you so much for this brief but interesting tour of the Terminal 3 in terms of the safety protocols that have been put in place.
MFR Pau there. Now to the Deputy Health Minister, Dr. Boy, who has been giving details of the positive cases that have been recorded so far at the Kotoka International Airport.
5 individuals who had negative PCR tests from their countries of origin were picked as being positive at our airport since Friday.
Since Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 5.
We had 1 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 today, 5 cases. Now,
there's been a third one.
There's been a third one today, yes. So we have 8 cases.
No, 6.
6 cases.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, all our troubles in Ghana started with just about 4 or 5 cases. So, really, those who are talking about $150, if we had gone for a compromised technology, and these guys with negative PCR tests had slipped in, all you need is one gentleman who is positive with a viral load that is huge, visits us in this country, and we are back to the lockdown era. So really, I always say that the alternative is so serious, too grave to contemplate. And when I say the alternative, I mean having one person slip in with a virus.
Now, 20 years ago, he wasn't sure what the future held. Today, he's one of the biggest products of Ghana's biggest media firms, multimedia group. Seth Kwame Boateng, a multiple award-winning journalist and documentary filmmaker, who JoyNews first joined multimedia as a receptionist in 2003. In a series of stories looking at JoyNews' longest-serving journalist as part of our 25 years anniversary, my colleague Justice Beidou tells the Seth Kwame Boateng story.
From grass to grace. This is the Seth Kwame Boateng story.
I'm the last of 17 children. I went to Amankotia MA, Ajusu LA, and Kumasi Anglican Secondary School.
Seth had his first break on radio as a level 100 student at the University of Cape Coast, after years of working at the front desk of Love FM.
That was 2003. A guy stabbed his girlfriend. The girl died. And I remember calling Love FM. I called Love FM Saeed. He asked, if we put on radio, can you report? I said, yes, I can report. So that time, Love FM had 1 o'clock news and in the afternoon. So they put me on the 1 o'clock news. I reported. In no time, we vacated. And when I went back to Love FM, I went back to the reception. So that morning, I went very early. That morning, Saeed came and said, follow me to the newsroom.
Joy FM's Seth Kwame Boateng is the GJA's 2014 Journalist of the Year.
Today, he is possibly Ghana's most decorated journalist of all time.
Overall journalist, best journalist for the Wamika 2017 awards. And the winner is
Seth Kwame Boateng.
Seth Kwame Boateng, congratulations.
Nobody was paying my TNT transportation, no. I sacrificed.
With over 25 major awards in his name.
When I'm on vacation, I'm Seth Kwame Boateng reporting from Love FM. When school reopens, I'm Seth Kwame Boateng reporting from Cape Coast.
Along with hundreds of stories of change.
They have been carefully arranged according to the years he has spent in the prison.
Stories that have touched the lives of many people several kilometers away from his home village of Trede.
With not even an inch space between them.
I do these stories to trigger change because it's what I went through as a child. I keep telling myself that I don't want anybody to go through that.
The boy from Amakom LA school has traveled around the world on journalism assignments covering Ghana's presidency under Atta Mills and John Mahama. He is now a public health expert with certification from the Leeds University in the UK.
I'm still looking for people I can train to also do the kind of stories I'm doing so that maybe I can retire.
A receptionist 17 years ago, a multiple award-winning journalist today. Seth Kwame Boateng's slice of the Joy FM at 25 cake. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Accra.
And we're rolling out more of those stories now. Let's take a very quick break. When we return, we'll talk to you more about the NDC's manifesto launch. Do stay. Welcome back. We're heading to the politics. Now, slowly we're counting down to the NDC's manifesto launch, dubbed the People's Manifesto. In the next few minutes, members of our political team will be bringing you in-depth analysis. But here on the show, we gauge the mood of voters. What are your expectations? And what will inform your vote? We'll also be live in town to speak with some of you. First, though, we'll take a look at some of the promises that the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has been making. Let's take a look at 20 of those promises. Okay, so first of all, pay all customers of the collapsed financial institutions whose monies are locked up in full and restore indigenous Ghanaian participation in the financial sector. That's promise number 1. Number 2, he's promising to reduce the size of government by at least 40 ministers to reduce government expenditure and channel those resources into the productive sectors of the economy for the benefit of Ghanaians. Of course, these are promises that you can break down further. Let's take a look at promise number 3. He's talking about providing free technical and vocational education TVET from the second cycle to tertiary level institutions to build the human resource base of the nation for industrial development, entrepreneurship, and job creation. So, promise number 4, to institute a national apprenticeship program in line with his vision of rapid industrialization and job creation for the country. He's also promising to scrap the 50% increment in the communication service tax to reduce the cost of telephoning and data. This will reduce the cost of living, he says, and the cost of doing business in this country. Promise number 6, to construct a regional hospital for each of the 6 newly created regions and the Western region to improve access to quality and efficient healthcare delivery. Promise number 7, to provide districts without hospitals with fully equipped modern health facilities. Number 8, Mr. Mahama says he will take healthcare to the doorsteps of the people by building a first-of-its-kind Onipa Nua hospital ship and deploy it to provide medical services to the inaccessible and fishing communities on the inland waterways. We'll continue with these promises when Evans Mensah joins me in studio. But with what you've heard so far, are you likely, what is likely to influence your vote? Well, earlier, my colleague Manuel Kranting interacted with some Ghanaians who have been sharing their expectations.
I'm here at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, trying to gauge the mood of the citizens ahead of the official launch of the manifesto. What are the expectations really? And will these expectations be met by the NDC's manifesto? So I'm going to try to speak to a few people. Thank you so much for speaking to me. What really are your expectations of the NDC's manifesto?
NDC has nothing to give us. NDC has nothing. But since there are 8 years that has passed by, I have not even seen what NDC have done that Ghanaians are happy about it. So as for me, I don't have any good expectation that NDC is bringing out to Ghanaians. But Ghanaians will be happy about their manifesto.
But they say they're going to.
Aside from that, why Okada? You have to request for something better in life. More than everybody can buy Okada and hire someone to work with Okada. How Okada? He has to bring new things that people will enjoy and like it. More than this Okada, they are making noise in all over the place. People are Okada. What's Okada?
Okay, if they will realize their mistakes and then correct their mistakes, I think it will be better than accusing the current, sitting president. And for that one, I disagree with them. You know, if you want to move forward, you correct your mistakes. So use your past to correct your current mistake. Present life. So if I've been, I've done a lot of mistakes previously for the past. I have to sit down, work it out, and come when I want to come to power. Then I know that I've corrected my mistakes, and coming forward, I know that these are the things I have to put in place.
I'm expecting them to just come back to tell us the truth, as in what they did not, or they were not able to do before. They are supposed to come and tell us, be able to also convince us that if we trust them or we believe in them, we'll be able to, or they'll be able to get or do whatever we want to do. They promised, especially we the youth, jobs. So we are expecting that when they come, they'll be able to give us the jobs that we need.
Yes. We will compare and contrast, because as of now, the two parties are, telling stories. So what we believe is we are waiting for the NDC manifesto. There we compare and contrast. That's why I use the word in my opinion. Right. In my opinion.
And they should give more employment to unemployed graduates, and yeah, exactly, and to manage the economy for the betterment of Ghana. But they shouldn't stress the promise that they'll do this thing just to gain power. They should do the right thing by telling us what they will be able to do. Ghanaians, they want comfort. But if you promise them something you can't do, and you came and the hardship is still going on, and they are not getting work to do, it's not nice.
It's not nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. All the best today.
Evans Mensah is head of our political desk. He joins me right now in studio. By the way, the former president has been speaking on his decision to run again. He says, among other things, his decision is informed by the failure of the NPP, as he says, to continue on the path of making the nation less vulnerable and therefore resilient.
In a sense, our manifesto will provide that answer. But it will be a collective answer coming from all the fabulous NDC members, supporters, men and women who participated in its formulation. That's the formulation of the manifesto. In all honesty, I didn't take the decision to run for a second term as president, neither easily nor quickly. I didn't jump into it. I did it out of a sense of urgency after I began to contemplate more and more thoroughly about our vulnerabilities as a nation. No society can be truly resilient in the face of crisis and adversity without a solid economic and social infrastructure. To create sustainable and ever-growing prosperity, something we all deserve, it requires building a robust social and economic infrastructure, one that supports creativity, innovation, and the production of high-value-added products and services. This is precisely why during my presidency, I took aggressive steps to develop and consolidate our healthcare infrastructure, our educational infrastructure, our transport infrastructure, and our digital infrastructure. This is the only way to build a resilient nation. Without creating and consolidating a developed infrastructure, no nation can resist the global shocks that come from time to time. Unfortunately, this current government has refused to continue on the path we started, and therefore failed to make our nation less vulnerable and more resilient in the face of global shocks. Let me give you just one example. Access to electricity in 2012. 69.2% of Ghanaians had access to electricity in 2012. In 2016, when I left office after my first term as president, 79.3% of Ghanaians had access to electricity. That was a 10 percentage points increase in just 4 years. When I left the office, I was confident that a new government will continue from where we left off and deliver probably by now 90%, if not 100%, access to electricity. That is over these last 4 years. However, under this administration, the NPP government has increased overall access to electricity from 79.3% to only 82.3%, a mere 3 percentage points increase in 4 years. It is our sacred mission to turn Ghana into an advanced nation as soon as possible, and it is our moral obligation to be bold and to aim for greatness. Good enough is no longer good enough. To prosper and thrive, we need fundamental change. We need to set our standards and expectations far higher than good enough. If we settle for good enough, we settle for a slow death of our very soul and our pride as a country. I ran for president because I want to leave a legacy, a solid infrastructure with 100% access for all in all sectors. With this legacy, we can build a truly developed Ghana on a par with other middle-level nations or advanced nations. I know how to do it. I've been part of it already and already accomplished a lot in this area. And since I know how to do it and the current government doesn't, I feel I have a moral duty to ask for a second term.
So that's Mr. Mahama there. It's all about what he believes is the NDC's alternative to a governing NPP. You make your judgment and you take your own decisions. But I have here in studio Evans Mensah, head of our political desk. Evans has a message for you, and then we'll go through the alternatives that the NDC is presenting. Evans, it's good to have you. What's the message for our audience?
Always delighted to be on the show with you, Gifty. I mean, so we were built to start at 4 with the coverage of the NDC Manifesto launch, but the team on the ground says we are better off starting later than that because they've seen the groundwork, and there's no indication that the 5 o'clock that the party had originally advertised will be on it. And that's the thing with political events. It's so fluid with the time. And so we're going to start at 5 instead, and build into it. I mean, the communication night that we should expect by 6 or 6:30. The program itself should be on the road. We have a team on the ground, MFR Pao, Daniel Dadzi, Parker Wilson, who are going to bring us the view from the ground itself. And of course, we have a team here, myself, Wing Singh, Imani, will also help us with some of the analysis. And so, yes, we're starting at 5. And the party tell us that they anticipate that they will end at 9
p.m.
So yeah, it's going to be a long
night.
So when they tell you it's 9, you probably add an extra hour to it. When they tell you it's 5, you probably add an extra hour. So it's always either late or very early. I mean, so that's what we are.
Okay, so it's 4 o'clock. Obviously, you've checked your time, and you know it's 4 o'clock, and we're expecting to see the beginning of the NDC Manifesto launch right here, as had been advertised. As you know, there's been some changes. So, but 4 o'clock, between 4 and 5, it's just a few minutes, trust me. True. So Evans is here, and let's go through again the promises that Mr. Mahama has been making. I took you up until promise number 8. On number 9, he's looking to construct 2 new international standard infectious diseases centers and 2 additional international research centers. Since you're here, Evans, I'd like for you to speak.
I mean, that's an interesting one. Remember that the MPP under this current government has also promised something similar to build an infectious disease, I think, in every region as part of the manifesto promise going forward. Obviously because of COVID-19.
Of course.
And so you see the parallels. But LA, you talked about their promise to build hospitals, 6 new
hospitals in the 6 newly created
regions. The MPP has a similar one. So already you're seeing the contest of ideas and trying to win over voters like yourself.
Which brings to mind, a comment that John Boydo made at the manifesto launch of for the NPP themselves. He says that the NDC have not launched their manifesto because they're waiting to copy them.
Well, I mean, the thing is, every election year, there's always this accusation that somebody stole somebody.
Yeah,
there's always that. I mean, and depending on who launches it first. I remember I think it got to a head early in 2016 or 2012, where the one party's manifesto was supposed to be christened People Matter, You Matter.
Yes, I think it was 2016.
2016. And the MPP has said that. They claim they said that. And then the NDC launched theirs first. And they named it People Matter. And it became a big deal.
And that someone said, you stole that from us.
I mean, so same we're seeing now. But once you launch it first, the second person obviously has an advantage. Because you could see, they've listened to all our criticism and analysis.
Exactly.
They can tweak theirs to make sure that they don't get the same backlash. I mean, look, it's just politics.
It's just politics. And I think that for the opposition, you're always at an advantage in some of these cases, I guess. But let's take a look at the promises, the remaining of those promises. Promise number 10 is to abolish the double track system of the secondary education through an emergency and massive infrastructure
That's one of the most controversial ones.
Exactly.
I mean, because Mahama said he would do this immediately he comes in. But the question always is, if you do it immediately you come in, what happens to the excess number of students you all have on your hands? Because he says he will build infrastructure.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take a day to do infrastructure. It takes months. So what will he do if you abolish if you abolish the double track system, what will you do with the excess number of students that you have on your hands immediately?
That double track
that for me is one of the areas that I'm still waiting to hear some answers on.
I think that the double track system has been, has had its own criticism over the period. People have said that the free SHS is good, but the double track system makes it difficult.
Yes, it's true. In fact, there is a document that Send Ghana had put together called the People's Manifesto. They travel around the country, people's youth together. In that document, when you read it, the majority of the people they surveyed across the country said they like the free SHS, but they don't like the double track system. And so that is clearly an issue that reflected.
It's a very interesting area to navigate, and you see the NDC doing a lot with that little provision there. But we'll see how it goes. Let's take you to promise number 11: to establish a university or university campuses in each of the 6 newly created regions. So it looks like there's a lot of focus on the newly created regions.
You have to remember that they are they were not there before, so they're going to have a bigger say. Well, a fresh say in who wins the elections. And so you need to be targeting these new regions to see who, because with the 10 regions, we know how they voted before, right? But these new regions, nobody quite sure how they're going to vote this year. I mean, you can guess. But
there has been, exactly. There's been, you could call them conspiracy theories.
You can guess,
about
but
the creation
it will just
of
be
the
a guess.
Themselves.
The real poll is what happens on December 7th. And so you don't want to take it for granted. And that is why I guess there's a lot of targeting.
Yeah. And of course, this is a group of people as well who, had the hope of becoming a region because they believe that then they will own the development of the particular
And so if you're
areas.
saying you're going to bring campuses to them, you're telling them that I'm going to bring you development.
And give you the sovereignty, so to speak, that you require. But Evans, we'll come back to the rest of the promises and talk briefly about them. The NDC have said that this manifesto is people-centered. So we want to hear from you. Manuel Panting is around Kokomlemle talking to some people. Let's go to him live. Manuel.
Hi, Gifty.
You hear me and you have some people ready to share what their thoughts are with us. Let's go ahead.
Well, definitely. So, Kokomlemle, and as we build up to the official launch of the NDC's manifesto later tonight, in fact, a number of people have been expressing their opinions and really their expectations. Indeed, a lot of promises have already been thrown around, with people trying to sieve through and pick out, the real ones from the chaff. And so I'm here at Kokomlemle trying to get a few people to react to the promises that have thus far come through, and in fact whether or not they are looking that some of these promises are, as it were, properly incorporated and maybe institutionalized going into the manifesto of the NDC. These gentlemen are here trying to be busy, and while I waste some time, I'm here to talk to them. Good evening. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us. Well, I'm sure that you might have already heard that the NDC is launching its manifesto later tonight. Particularly for yourself, what are some of the things that you're expecting?
Okay, I am expecting good things from them, but I heard when they come, they will abolish the double track system. Yeah, as for that one, I don't think it's a good promise, because if you abolish the double track system, you are not a magician, so there is no way you can command schools to be at everywhere. It will take time before you can cover all the schools. It is the same thing this MPP government is doing. So if you tell me you abolish the double track system, what it means is that if you come, you abolish the free SHS. So I don't want them to go there at all. But
they made a point that they are going to maintain the free SHS and then invest about $10 billion in infrastructure. That's what they call the big push, so that they get more infrastructure to be able to accommodate the students without having to do double track. That's their point.
That if they are not going to abolish the free SHS and they are going to maintain, it's good. It's good. But if you want to do so, don't say you abolish the double track, because it is the numbers that brought the double track system. So if you say you will continue and doing it gradually, you get there. But if you say when you come, you abolish the double track system immediately, that one, I see it as a deceit. So that expectation, I'm not expecting them to, be in that.
So a really critical point that you make, you talk about the feasibility of abolishing a double track, given the numbers that you have. You think that they are only, building castles in the end, trying to throw dust into your eyes. That's a point that you're making. I'll come to you very shortly and then talk to you also. But they make a point that they are going to embark on what they call Operation Sting. And so they prosecute all appointees who are, corrupt and are caught in corrupt activities. Well, they've been in power for some time. I'm sure you might have experienced the John Mahama administration while he was in power. He wants to promise that he will do better in terms of corruption. Your reaction?
As for corruption, it is the same thing they said when MPP was power during Kufuor regime. They accused a lot of the MPP ministers that they are corrupt. But when they came to power, they sent close to 15 people to court, but none of them was jailed. So I see it like Ghana here. If you want to come to power, what you have to do is to, tag people with corruption. If you tag people with corruption, that will make you win election. That's why they're doing so. Because when they come, I don't think the same thing will happen as it's happening during the Mills Mahama administration. And secondary, if you want to know who is corrupt between MPP and NDC, there is no way NDC can say we have MPP minister in jail as we speak now. But there are a lot of NDC ministers who has been in jail. So I don't see why they keep on talk about corruption.
So you don't think that the NPP is corrupt at all?
If somebody is corrupt, you have to come with evidence. If you don't have evidence, it's just mere talk.
I'll try to come back to you.
Facts are established at court.
In court, definitely.
Yeah. So if you cannot establish your fact at court, how can you say somebody is corrupt?
Great. Great, thank you. So I'll try to come back to you, and then interesting point he's making there that the NDC is unable to, as it were, establish any concrete, case of corruption against the NPP. And so for him, Operation Sting is also really just a ruse. But let me speak to this gentleman. Well, the NDC says that they're going to create over 1 million jobs if they win power. What will be your reactions to that?
I think they have said it. So sometimes we'll give them the benefit of the doubt to watch what they can do. So sometimes coming to power is not in our own will. It is by the will of God. So when they come, what they have said, that is what we will expect from them. So sometimes we will hold them accountable of what they have uttered, that, okay, this is what we will do. And at the end, they fail to do. So sometimes you can say something, but at the end, you fail to do.
You can say something, but at the end of the day, you fail to do it. There's a point that people make about over-promising. So that because somebody wants to cling onto power, they promise heaven and earth, things that are not even, tenable within the circumstances. Do you sense anything, like that, in a sense of over-promising so far with the things that you've heard from the NDC?
Yeah, some of their promises are not relevant in the sense that in our country...
Well, example of the irrelevant promises.
Build, okay, let's say the Okada promise doesn't make sense at all, because the Okada itself is not making our country nice, and the accident and, let's say, the life taken in it is very high. The risk is very high. So for them to legalize Okada to become part of our transport, I don't think is a relevant promise.
Great. So he's saying that he doesn't think that the Okada promise by the NDC is relevant, well, in his own words. I'm trying to speak to a few more people here and get their own reactions. My boss, I'm sure that you've been hearing the conversation. Someone says that Okada promise is not relevant. Somebody says that they are deceiving us in terms of corruption fight and so on. What is your own expectation?
To me, the mihun say. Once we more power, we can woman some the but we more nya power ni we anya sa no moye. MPP ni NDC ni no mo de yet mem for no yakoma AD agoro. Omo pe power na on be kan some the ye tomo mo we no be this so a different thing altogether.
But he makes a point that both the NDC and the NPP, as it were, dilly-dally with the minds of the people, so that they want to cling onto power. They promise heaven and earth, but when they get into the corridors of power, they behave just as they want. But I want to find out what that means for he as an electorate. Politicians no omo dey arguing dey agro there, and say yes na more power so money because yen go vote more. Nti can vote more omo fire arguing dey agro na what you say?
Me to me no be kakra answer no be vote wa mo be no. Me sure say be charge ni panansa. Because omo ye campaign na omo kan sem no but omo nya power no wi a de was omo ye ma ye tememfo no entesa. So to me no minimum say buy and buy be kakra nsa na be ba no.
Who say be kakra no or be jisica answer we voting?
Yes, of course.
Well, he makes a point that this is something that will only be solved by vote buying, because you need to, as it were, secure something from the politicians before you vote for them, because really there's no assurance that if they win power, they are going to do what they promise to do. And for him, he is predicting that in a not so distant future, citizens would request monetary, compensation before they vote for politicians. I don't know what you think about that, but the gentleman here doesn't agree at all. While I was talking to him, he made a point that me no drink crap. Boss, also when any drink crap, because politicians they they are almost promising, and very soon, yes, you be this cancer na e vote am.
The entire American men na adwen say said tie bia aban bi ba obeye bibi o de yemfa free SHS kra abey me say me ba kobi so 3 times na 3 years na mentua fees no 9 times me tua fees anka me tua be 5,000 so tia say but because of vote me to ye ninti and ama menya sa benefit no me say me sika eka 2 microfinances and local 2014-2015. But this government buy, says can be doing a mensaka. It's about 1 day. There is a benefit, but it will not go for everybody. And you don't have to say it don't have to be a personal benefit. If you do so, then you are a selfish person. Yeah.
Thank you. So he makes a point that indeed there are benefits really from every regime that comes through elections, and even though some of these benefits might not be relative to every individual, generally there are some benefits that come through. I don't know what you think, but they've been reacting to the NDC's yet to be launched manifesto and picking out a few of the things therein and sharing their thoughts on that. And so as we build up to the official launch of the NDC's manifesto from Kokomlemle here in Accra, my name is Manuel Krante. Gifty, over to you.
Very much, Manuel Kranting there, interacting with some voters there. You hear them talk a lot, focus more on the Okada promise and then what's going to happen or what the NDC is promising to do in education. You also hear a bit of apathy. There are people who say, well, the politicians are the same. NPP, NDC, they are the same. They joke with our heart. Evans, you have those people there. Okada seems to be a very interesting point of discussion in this election.
It is.
As well as education.
It is. I mean, because if you consider that Okada has become one of the prime means of transportation for people, creates a lot of jobs for people as well, you see why it's important. It's important to a lot of people. Right now, all you need to do is to find some small amount of money if you're out of job and get a motorbike. And then you have work to do. So I see why I see why the NDC is going in. I see why it will resonate with the masses. But again, if you look at the NDC, they're going to their roots. I mean, this is the kind of demographic that they appeal to. Okay, so the poor guy, the masses, the guy in your typical back of the motorbike riding, not the guy who sits in an air-conditioned vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're appealing to that base, and which is something that they should do, and they're doing, and that's what is resonating with people.
And I remember traveling to the Nigerian-Benin border, and in Benin, it's a
You behind Okada? You're on Okada?
Oh, I've been on Okada several times.
Really?
Yeah, Accra. I mean, here in Accra, not here in Accra. In the northern region where, being on the motor, exactly. And then in Benin, and I'm saying in Benin, it is business. In Benin, they have the, what over here will be the Accra mayor or you have the district or the municipal assembly. They regulate it. That's how it's done. So they have uniforms and they have numbers tagged on the uniforms as well. That's how it's done. There was a story.
Been on Accra before.
Right. There was a story as well that Tilly brought, Matilda Wemega brought from Rwanda. So there are very interesting perspectives to the issue about Okada. But let's take a look and try and wrap up the promises. The 20 promises we're looking at. I think we got to number 12. So Mr. Mahama is promising to abolish the mandatory national service and obnoxious licensure exams for teacher trainees and restore the automatic employment of teacher trainee graduates. Another very
well, I see where they're going
sticky
with
issue.
Yeah.
Okay, and you recall that there have been, protests or picketing after picketing at the various ministries as well over some of these things. 13 is to restore the automatic employment of nursing trainee graduates. So you get a lot of the politicians trying to win the hearts of nurses as well. And also number 14, to restore the distribution of free cocoa fertilizer and chemicals to cocoa farmers to boost cocoa yield and improve the welfare of cocoa farmers. That's another area.
Yeah, of course. That's another area that is worth looking at. When they were in government, the NDC under John Mahama, they put a lot of effort into giving cocoa free fertilizers to farmers. In fact, that is as a result of that we saw the controversy that led to the prosecution of the cocoa board boss,
yes.
Mr. Pudding and others. And Mr. Agungu as well, who were all accused of, sort of exploiting the free fertilizer scheme, etc. I mean, this government changed the policy slightly. He says he wants to restore it. I mean, again, the question becomes, if the accusations that have been leveled are true, how do you build into the free cocoa policy integrity measures? So you don't go back to what it used to be where possibly, allegedly, it was exploited for the benefit of others and not the farmers themselves.
And you know that cocoa farmers, they are in their masses, and there's always this complaint that even though they do a lot of the hard work, they are the least, beneficial when it comes to the chain. So another interesting one. Then let's wrap it up. I think we have 5 more to go. Complete the Eastern Corridor roads, dualize the Aflao, Cape Coast and Kumasi roads, among others. Now Cape Coast is up here again, Evans, and you remember Cape Coast.
And MPP has something similar to also dualize. Yeah. I mean, that dualization of Accra Kumasi has been ongoing for a long time. John Kufuor started it. I mean, if you travel on it, recently I did, you see that huge portions of it that has already been dualized, but it's not all the way. So I guess that's a point that he's making. This current government also has a plan to do so. So it's a competition of ideas on some very common issues.
And you see a scramble for the heart of Cape Coast as, the NPP is saying we want to give you an airport.
And a port.
Okay. Let's finish up. We're number 16. Complete all abandoned or uncompleted hospital and health projects, educational projects, road projects, and other infrastructure projects in the country. And that is a place where the NDC cannot, absolve itself of blame also of what it inherited from the previous NPP administration and whether or not it was able to finish those ones. 17. Is to punish corruption and end the practice of nepotism. We've heard him talk about Operation Sting. Again, corruption is going to be a key issue as always has been in the elections. Okay. Train, remunerate, and empower assembly members to be responsible for the local level administration, registration of births and deaths in their electoral areas to improve the national population register. Promise number 19, to legalize and regulate Okada business, which we just talked about. And finally, 30% female appointees in the next government. The previous NDC administration actually had a 40% target, which they didn't meet. And Evans, I don't know if the NPP administration, has made any strides that the NDC could not make when it comes to female representation. Of course, it seems to have a lot more women.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a key thing. Both parties keep promising, but under-delivering when it comes to affirmative action. I mean, this current government has talked about the passage of affirmative action bill as one of the things that they will do. But this promise gives a bit more practical actualization of that promise, except that the track record of the NDC when it comes to this matter, it's shaky because, as you rightly mentioned, their previous manifesto, they had said they will do this and give 40%. They obviously didn't achieve that, and reality check are setting. And so now that they are promising it again, they move it down to 30. But my question is, if you failed to do it previously when you had the opportunity, what's the guarantee that you can do it now? It's a fair question to ask when you look at the person's track record.
And perhaps it's because they realize the capacity they have when it comes to fulfilling that particular promise, and so they reviewed it. But it's up to them to really break it down and get the acceptability of Ghanaians. Evans, thank you so much for coming through. So the clock is still ticking. There's what, about 30 minutes to go, and in 30 minutes, Evans Mester, Winston Amwa, MFA Apau, Daniel Dazi will be here to bring you up to speed on what's happening at the UPSA right now. Though we're crossing over there to find out what's happening. As you can see, in your screens, the grounds are already prepared and the NDC is ready to tell you what the alternatives are. Well, first of all, we'll bring you today's voters' voice. We'll take you to East Legon here in Accra to find out from the residents what will inform their decision.
About what year, me share my dream. Obiana na dream because Ghana ha. You know to man na Akufo-Addo. And I see you to NDC. So Obiana na dream. To my dream share them the NDC. And I say papa Mahama and I met to man no me won jina so because me kurum fante brana papa me yam fante pardon me yam fante atamres no baneme nti I'm used to proud with my atamres nti me no yeso mam awo yen kurum because now we are lack of so many things in our villages bra atamres buy no but for instance in Sunni school na da na nkola na say no mko school in Sube bia monum swempo na it was very bad during the atamres time no obotumi ya de ni na my friends and na Akufo-Addo so send say a friend say atamres na be the chi san baby how can I not fail to vote for him into me the end this hand me there meto man me end this
oh dabi say na me bra ken free SHS sabi ono onko free SHS ni bi Nemum, or say a month for say free SHS can you bottom. Okay, you discover show bottom. Not say free SHS in you are. Oh, my men or papa befro we could say, hey, Kweku, yes, if you are school admission fee 15,500, 1,002. Then that's kind of show bottom. Yes, in some way be at the but me doing say scan be show bottom. That's a bina and fan, you may be a anto for mebema, young one ha. Scan be show bottom crabs in Yako. Until more mucas, your first cashin, but of us cashin bottom, mentor must say. So what I say, I find a band is cannabis show bottom. Naze, one fro say Uniano in Benu, or when your school so muqua. Some mefro say fast can I some between this cannabis show bottom no, and show bottom here. Until the other show bottom says, you can't show bottom now, force your union, and Frau Safaco school fees, and in that way, we are discussing bottom indirectly. Aye, brother. To us, no experience TOASO, to us, capital letters, hashtag JoyNews.
Because the Korea first school, school full of the whole term. And the back of being quite school, a friend saying. A good 3 months. No matter if you 4 months. Now on corner. No matter if yeah, but now what's education? You don't know what is education. Somehow can I no one say friends at school. I'm here free education. Couldn't be a friend. And 2.5 months. And not if so when Vavara Simon almost showing and a friend to me and so friends no free education. Or was school for the 4 of the term.
But still now, as at now, and what one that means say what nephew, what one massa, and if I said 3 months, 4 months, what one now they become I mean, we school tied up now. I saw American on the power the mouth faces here on Kra and Mobium school.
The school fee at Fred Gage was one Padiame, Madame Chassemano. Because free crowd to Kobe. No trust can go to Kobe. Fred Gage Bandi, Ayapa. Because I am free crowd upon free crown. Between Kobe. Never Jessica. Free crowd, we went to go. Never Jessica. Upon Occasion, you have enough for no as a maker. Free crowd about Kobe. Never Jessica to Kobe. I don't know. More 4 years, Nana.
Yeah, me free education, me bank could be good. Me bank of free education be better, yeah. Because me no member any my sisters and banana first na Takrabako by Sisiano omo den omo go school free. The free education here. But abana e beto ne de. Ano de e wo ye 3 months ana. Tam ne be so. Nti ye kokodu a. Oh, David ya be sesem ye ntum nto aso sa. Eh, some ye fantini. Nti o say ade wo fie oye. Nti me kwa commissary. Me amfantini pure ade wo fie oye nti na me say system
they are panic as they me papa ne ka say ade wo fie oye na nya bibia na e wo fie oye e bo he dan betimi aba fie obepo because they are ye keka kona ye dede bia me nyamere no and they offer enye go papa panyimu ti fie na say obekire nkwala ade kula enya mere wade esa o kire ya de pa cause amere no or kwa family rekula so because enche bia mbenyeska de kwa family reso so dia enya papa.
Well, so if you're doing the countdown together with us, it's 91 days more to the December polls. Politicians across the divide are wasting no time, leaving no stone unturned to ensure that their messages are being heard, especially by the grassroots. Take a look at this wrap on the major political parties in this country.
It was a battle for the hearts and minds of the people of 2 regions in the north, the Upper West and Northern regions, by candidates who were sons of the soil. NDC flag bearer John Mahama took his campaign to the Upper West region, whilst Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia headed to the Northern region.
I know that when it comes to a matter of trust, and it comes to a matter of track record comparison, there's no doubt in my mind that NDC will win the 20.
Mental and inexplicable waste of taxpayer resources.
In Kumasi, wife of the Vice President, Samira Bawumia, also seized the opportunity to lash out at the former president, saying a vote against the NPP was an endorsement of retrogression.
NDC came to power and messed up this. The power crisis came to live with us. They messed everything up. God sent Nana Akufo-Addo to redeem us, and we are not going back to the past.
And speaking of wives, former First Lady Nana Kunejo-Agyemang-Rawlings was acclaimed as flag bearer by members of her party, the National Democratic Party, at its National Delegates Congress.
Each member within the NDP should be able to identify a good person that can get into parliament.
The issue of tribal politics took center stage this weekend after President Akufo-Addo called out his predecessor for sharing comments that described the Ejapa deal as an Achim Sakawa project.
The comment made by my opponent, Achim Sakawa people, I've not heard any public figure in this country, independent yourselves or anybody, comment on it. It's completely unacceptable.
This was Mr. Mahama's response.
He was an opposition leader who called presidents before him anything you can imagine, including Professor Doolittle. He's a president who has called his critics naysayers and Jeremiahs.
Vice President demanded an apology from the NDC flag bearer, insisting his posture was alien to their northern culture.
We will continue to call on John Mahama to apologize unreservedly for what he has endorsed. Unreservedly. This election is going to be fought on our records, not on tribalism.
We're taking a very quick break here. We'll be back when we return. We have more political stories for you as we get up for the NDC's manifesto launch, which is in less than 30 minutes. Welcome back to the show. We're building up to the NDC's manifesto launch, which is happening live at the UPSA. JoyNews has a team right there on the ground. There will be a team here in the studio. Right now, though, I want to hear from you. What are your expectations as we get ready to hear the NDC's alternative as it is presenting to us as a choice against the NPP? WhatsApp me on 0540109009. My name is Gifty Andopia. We're still here on the pulse. We're gearing up to hear from the NDC. But I want to hear from you. We've had a lot of people say, you know, get excited about the Okada promise. We've heard people talk about education and about the fact that Mr. Mahama says he will abolish the double track system. People say, what will you do to those students who are already in the system? I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? You've had also a bit of apathy where people have said that we're tired of the NDC, we're tired of the NDC and the MPP altogether. We're voting for a group like the Ghana Union Movement, or we're voting for the CPP, for example. What is your own version of that story? You're not supposed to call the number. Just send me a WhatsApp and I'll read it and share it with the rest of the world. Evans Mensah is getting ready to come in the studio to take over from me. Winston Amwa, deputy head of our political desk, will be here as well. They have all of the analysis and we will make it very interactive. We'll be talking to you, and that's why I want to hear from you right now on our WhatsApp platform. Let's take a look at some of the promises that Mr. Mahama has put out there already. But already some of you are texting me whilst I go to the message, to the promises that Mr. Mahama has made. Let me read to you some of the messages I'm receiving. And if you can see the number right there on your screen, do not call it. I'm seeing a lot of you calling the number. Do not call it, because when you do, it interrupts with my ability to read for you what I'm seeing on the WhatsApp platform. So do not do that. This one doesn't add his name, but he says they don't have anything proper to say. Okay. We'll see how that goes. We have less than, well, maybe in the next 10 minutes or so to go and hear from them. And then we'll hear what they say. This one says, for me, the National Democratic Congress has nothing good in their manifesto for Ghanaians. You don't add your name as well. It'd be good to add your name so we know who is texting us. This one is Anand. Mr. Anand, you're texting from Tema. You say, I like the legalization of the Okada business. Thank you very much for sending your message. But why? Do you have any reason why you like it? You think it's a great idea? It will boost the economy? What is it? Let me know that as well. This is from Achu. Achu says, Achu Wedi from Pando. It says, NDC has good plans for Ghana. Thank you for that message. This one says, JM is not an alternative anymore. Willie Wise is sending that from Tamale. Let's take a look at some of the promises. I'm going to do the next, your messages are trickling in really quickly. So I'm just going to let me do the first two. Okay, let's take a look at the first two promises. Okay. So there is that promise for you on the screen. But let me take some more messages here. Aziz Starboy from Bali, as the hometown of the NDC flag bearer himself. You say, Aziz, you say the NDC is the best party in Ghana, are waiting for nothing but the best from their camp. Okay, so it looks like a lot of you are very eager and ready and sitting by your television waiting. Don't worry, here at JoyNews, it is your election headquarters. Okay, now the messages are coming too quickly. I can't focus on which one to read to you. But like I said, let me go quickly to the first promise that we have on our list here. Mr. Mahama is promising to pay all customers of the collapsed financial institutions whose monies have been stuck or locked up in full, and he's looking to restore indigenous Ghanaian participation in the financial sector. Listen to one of the key people who have been speaking for him, Phyllis Kwachu-Fosu.
It's only a matter of an hour or two before the program kicks off. So there's merit in keeping some form of this suspense. So endure it for a while, but not too long from now, the program will start. And you will see what exactly it is that the NDC has to offer.
Okay, so it appears we are going to be heavy on jobs and prosperity for all, for jobs, prosperity and more, from what I've seen in the auditorium so far. But it looks like we've counted up to about, what, 20 promises? Are there more?
No, there are about 60 of them. Indeed, President Mahama started speaking about this sometime in November 2019. So it's been almost a year since he started speaking about his policy positions. Of course, he has said quite clearly that a major thrust of his presidency, God willing, from 2021 to 2025 would be about jobs. It is perhaps one of the biggest, if not the biggest, socioeconomic problem that we have in Ghana at the moment, especially amongst the youth who form an overwhelming majority of our population. So any government that wants to gain acceptance amongst the people of Ghana must be able to show credible programs that will lead to job creation. And I'm talking sustainable jobs, not ad hoc knee-jerk measures that are only designed to, as it were, fix the, address the problem in a half-hearted manner. But we want to go for substantive solutions. And that is what you can expect from the NDC when we speak about jobs.
Well, we'll wait and see how it unfolds. And I'm sure that after that, already you've heard the opposition say that some of what is going to be contained in the manifesto were stolen from them. I'm sure these are some of the things.
The NPP is known for its ridiculousness. The levels to which they've sunk is staggering. I cannot believe that a party that is in government can be so obscurantic in its commentary on political affairs. It's almost like child's play. I think that the business of governance must be taken seriously, and the people of Ghana deserve governments that are serious. At the moment, they have not demonstrated that seriousness. Perhaps it adds on to the many reasons why they should be kicked out in earnest. No voter should accept this sort of ridiculous narrative from any party, let alone the party that is in power. We have not stolen a thing. We do not need any lectures from the MPP on how to write a manifesto. We have won 4 out of 7 elections, and he says something about our own effectiveness and how to mobilize towards an election.
But what is it really about UPSA? You outdored your running mate here, and today it appears you are launching your manifesto here as well. Anything special about the UPSA?
Well, I mean, you would agree that it's a very convenient and nice auditorium. There's nothing special about it. We just decided to do it in Accra, and it was one of the venues that was readily available, so we picked it. It is not a case that there's any special. I must, however, admit that it's a very remarkable venue, very nicely done, and a place where such an auspicious occasion is well and truly held.
We're grateful, sir. We'll get to talk again, I'm sure, after the launch of the manifesto. We're still at the venue here at the UPSA, and all is set, like you can see from the background, the launch of the NDC's manifesto. And we're told that it will be on for jobs, prosperity, and more. That's what it looks like. And I've been joined also, once again, by Mr. Kwame Agboja, and he represents the minority on the Transport Committee of Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament. And thankfully, he joins us today. Thank you very much for your time here on the JoyNews channel. I'm sure you're as excited as the others that we've interacted with.
Extremely excited because this day would mark a new beginning of our party's journey to regain power and to bring about leadership that can be trusted and that can deliver to the people of this country. So I'm very excited knowing what the anticipation is because this manifesto, as we've said, is People's Manifesto. It's not a manifesto of NDC. It's a manifesto for the people of this country, not about NDC. It's about us, all of us. So I'm excited that we're going to produce a document that represents the aspirations of the people of this country.
Well, but what's really new? Some have said that everything else, we've seen it before, we've heard it before. What's really new this time?
Well, have you ever heard a government say we can generate 250,000 jobs yearly for 4 years consistently, minimum. No, I don't think you've heard that from anybody. Have you heard anybody say that we are going to provide primary health care up to district hospital level, i.e., you do not have to pay for that service from the CHIP compound to the district hospital level. You do not have to produce a health insurance card and your card is expired so you can't be part of it. Have you ever heard that before? I don't think you've ever heard that before. Have you ever heard government deciding to set aside about $10 billion to do what we call the infrastructure push, to actually complete existing abandoned projects and to critically address the imbalances in terms of social infrastructure in this country? I don't think you've ever heard that before. Have you ever heard a government, a party about to form a government, actually give a commitment that we will not form an elephant-sized government to waste resources, but we are determined to cut the coat according to our sizes, to reduce the size of government by at least 40? I think you haven't heard that before. So I think there's a lot of things that you'll be hearing which you've never heard before.
So it appears that the NDC is on a promising spree for some. It appears that anything for the party to come to power. You said you had spoken to the people. Is this what the people said they wanted?
Yes, loud and clear. As we speak, in front of Ghana's parliament, there's an Okada joint. There are motorcycles conducting a business. If you go to Adaklu today, maybe the nurse and the teacher, the policeman going to work in Adaklu would have to use Okada. We know, yes, LI 2180 prohibits that. We are saying that where we have gotten to, we need to take a second look at that law and deal with it. That is from the people. We are not on a promising spree. We are not like the NPP who goes promising, for instance, airport in Cape Coast. When the president says, I'm not sure, the vice president says you are going to get it. When there's one that has been built lying down in Ho, which is not being used. We have proven over the period that when we say things, we mean them and we'll do them. And we'll back this with figures and everything for you to see today. So we, unlike NPP, is not our competitors in terms of ideas. We think they are completely bankrupt in terms of ideas, and we believe that the aspirations of the people is a better set of views to propose as policies rather than comparing ourselves to the NPP.
I don't know how different today's program will be from what we've seen in terms of the other manifesto launches of the party. But do you have an idea how the process is going to be like today?
You can confess that when it comes to presentation, no party does it better than us, as a matter of fact. It's not about presentation without substance. Presentation that conveys the message right to the people. When you look on the board, when we talk about infrastructure, we're going to try to make you understand what it means by that. When we talk about being able to do this, create 1 million jobs, we will be able to tell you how we are going to do that. Unlike 2016, when MPP was even talking about free SHS, and even on BBC he was asked, the current president was asked, he mentioned a very paltry figure. They never provided the sources of funding of free SHS until they got into government. We will be able to suggest to you where we'll be getting the funding for many of the things we are going to do. So you're going to see a different style in terms of presentation, and then we are very sure that the people of this country will be excited to have hope. And at the end of the day, it's about who do you trust? A person who takes power for 4 years and is now doing sword cutting in your community, or a person who has already delivered and up to a point before we left power, and we are just coming to continue doing what we have been delivering for you, unlike a party who is now cutting sword after 3 years, nothing to show. I think that is what we're going to see.
We're grateful for your time. I'm sure we'll get to interact right after the launch of the manifesto itself. We'll get details. Already, we're getting a snippet of what exactly is going to happen in terms of what is contained in the document.